Skins are clearly the most important part of playing Overwatch. So much so that Blizzard is now charging you almost $20 per skin in the in-game shop if you want to get your hands on one of those bad boys. So which skins offer you the most competitive advantage? That is the question we are asking today. And the hero we will be looking into is Mercy, because Mercy has one skin in particular that is just so bad that I just have to talk about it. So you may be wondering what aspect of a skin we will be looking at to measure the advantage it gives. The size of the skin, the color, the ability to give your enemies seizures like a couple of Sigma skins are able to. While these are important aspects, with Mercy we will be looking at one thing in particular, and that is how much of your screen is covered up by the staff. Mercy is a hero that relies heavily on observation and decision making based on everything that's going on around you, rather than focusing on the center of your screen in order to hit shots like other heroes. So any staff that clutters up your field of view will put you at a disadvantage in regards to being aware of your surroundings. So that for the sake of this list, we will be starting with the default skins in B rank, as kind of a baseline, and then ranking skins based on how much better or worse they are than the default skin. Now the first order of business is which default skin to use, the Overwatch 1 default skin, or the Overwatch 2 default skin. And the winner here is the Overwatch 1 default skin. The wings, I honestly have no idea what these are called, so I'll just call them wings for this video. At the end of the staff are slightly larger on the Overwatch 2 skin than the Overwatch 1 skin. And these wings are primarily what will determine most of the placements, as they are close to the center of the screen and they rotate around the staff and can block your view, especially when they flare out as when you are using damage boosting. So starting with all of the other skins, first up we have Combat Medic Ziegler, which goes in high B tier. The good thing about this staff is that the tip of the staff is not as bulky as the default skin is. It just has this little syringe, and it opens up a lot of space to view in the center. Weirdly enough, for some reason the bottom of the staff is much thicker than the normal skin is, but it's so far out of the way that I don't think it's that impactful, and that's the main reason it's still in B tier as opposed to being in A tier. Next up we have Dr. Ziegler, which goes in B tier because despite being a legendary skin, which usually have unique models for the weapons, epic and rare skins will always use the default models for the weapons but recolored. But for some reason, despite Dr. Ziegler being a legendary skin, it uses the exact same staff model as the default skin, except this time Mercy has her gloves off. But other than that, it is the exact same model, so it ends up in the exact same place. Next up, we have the Dragoon skin, which I'm honestly going to put in S tier. I might be biased because it's also my favorite skin, but the main benefit is that the wings on the end of the staff are actually curved inwards towards the staff, so they don't stick out very far from where they originate in the staff, so they usually cover up less space, and they also, due to being curved inwards on the staff, cover up a weird bit of geometry so that it's not going to cover too much of one area like some of the really bulky staffs that have like straight up rectangles coming out of it. It'll cover a weird kind of crescent curved area that usually doesn't block too much of a given area at a time. So I think it's a pretty good choice if you want to have the most vision. Next we have the Imp and Devil skins, which both use the same model, and these are going to go in C tier. The staff wings are both slightly wider and longer than the default skin, and they physically attach to the end of the staff, so they even block out the view you would normally be able to see through the center of the staff, so that gets them bumped down to C tier. Next up we have the Mikko skin, which I'm going to put in A tier. The wings seem just about as wide as the default skin, but not as long, and the one debatable aspect of the skin, which is what makes it unique, is the bells on the staff. Now there's this big ring of bells around the center of the staff that go and block a bit of view to the outside of the staff, much more than you would expect, but where the ring is, the staff is thinner, so you can actually see through the staff a bit more than you can with other skins. So it's a bit of a trade-off, which is why I'm putting it in A tier. I think there's definitely some advantage to being able to see through the staff more clearly that could possibly outweigh the downside of having the ring and the bells stick out a little further. Because honestly, they don't take up that much space. They're not going to block that much, but they will still block a little bit. Next up, we have the Royal Knight skin, which is the reason I made this entire video. This skin is absolutely horrendous. It is horrible when you play it. You physically notice it, You would think, oh, these are things you don't notice ever in game. You're not like, oh god, I can't see because the tip of my staff is in the way. But if you equip this skin, you will feel that. You will 100% feel that. It is actually a horrible skin that gives you such a massive disadvantage. Not only is part of the staff just really thick where the damage boost symbol is, the wings on the end of the staff are just absolutely fucking massive. Just look at them. At the end of the video, I'll do a comparison between this and the best skin in the game, just overlaying them just so you can see how much more space these wings take up that you can't see when you use it. So yeah, it is really bad. And to make things worse, the flag that's hanging off the bottom of the staff has physics on it, and it's very rare, but I have had situations where it would bug out and just like flip itself up and block even more of your view. So there's that as well. It's just really, really bad if you're looking to eke out any competitive edge that you can. So next up we have Sealpin, which I'm honestly going to put in A tier because the wings are around the same size as the default skin, but they're much thinner. So whenever the wings are at a certain angle, you can definitely see a lot more than compared to the default skin. And the rest of the staff is pretty similar, so that's what gets it bumped up into A tier. Next up, we have Plum Fairy, which I'm going to put in a low B tier. The wings are a little bit thicker than the default skin, but they are a unique shape and not as long, so they don't block as much space at the ends of them, but near the center, they definitely block a lot more of your view. The end of the staff also has the gem in it, so it's also pretty thick when compared to the other Mercy staffs. You basically can't see anywhere near the center of your screen. Like most skins, there's a gap between the wings and the tip of the staff that you can see through. The Plum Fairy basically doesn't have that at all. Next up, we have the Valkyrie Seagrin skins, which I'm just going to put in B tier. The wings look very similar to the default skins. They're maybe slightly thinner in terms of width, but slightly thicker in terms of depth. But it's a very close call between them. I'd maybe place it slightly below the default skin because of that, but it's not a bad choice. Next up, we have the Winged Victory skin, which I'm actually going to put in A tier. Now, this might be a controversial choice because of just how large the wings look compared to the default, but they seem to be very thin, and just looking at the side-by-side comparison, it looks like you can see a decent amount more than you can on some of the other skins, at least through the center of the screen, or the tip of the staff, I mean. So it's really hard for me to say. It looks better because I think the wings are much thinner, but they do definitely take up more space, but there's just more space that you can see as well that you can't on the regular skin. So I don't know, I'll leave that up to people. They can debate in the comments about if this skin deserves A tier or not. Next up, we have everyone's favorite skin, Witch Mercy, which I will actually give the second S tier of this list. The wings on the staff look very thin, much thinner than the default skin. The end of the staff also seems to be a good bit thinner than the default skin. This might even be better than the Dragoon skin. It's kind of just like the Dragoon skin, but without the curve. Yeah, I'd honestly say it's very much up between these two as being the best Mercy skin in the entire game. Because, spoiler alert, the next skin, Zook, is not it. Honestly, put it in low B tier because the wings are slightly larger than the default staff wings. Nothing that major, but just a bit bigger, keeping it in B tier below the default. Now, of course, the question everyone has is, where is Pink Mercy? And the answer to that question is not in my account because I do not have that skin. So looking at footage of it, the wings of the staff have these wires coming out of them that attach to the center, and this also makes it quite a bit bulkier than the default staff. So honestly, I would put it probably around C tier, but it's fucking Pink Mercy, so I'm putting it in double S tier. Always use the skin if you have it. It will make you based. You will be based if you use this skin. And in the end, I think that's the most important thing. So yeah, I think that's it for this video. Sorry if the editing was a bit bare bones. I have a lot of different videos I've been trying to work on recently, so please subscribe if you're interested in more Overwatch content like this, and also leave a like and a comment if you have any random topics you'd want me to make a video about. I could talk about Winston and which of his skins are the best, or really just anything, because I need ideas that people would actually want to watch. So yeah, until next time, see ya.